Ever get kind of curious how algorithms are shaping like the art we see online?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this guy, Dmitrii Gorbatenko, dives right into it in his blog post. It's called The Crushing Weight of the Algorithm, How Corporations Are Squeezing the Life Out of Artists.
Wow.
We're going deep on this one, to really understand the challenges that artists are up against in the digital world. We'll be looking at how corporations and algorithms impact artists' livelihoods and ultimately the future of creative expression.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gorbatenko starts off by setting the scene way back, the internet's early days when it was this symbol of artistic freedom.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyone could share their art, right? Global audience.
Well, no,
it felt revolutionary.
It really did.
But Gorbatenko says something went wrong. A lot of artists now, they're struggling just to survive, let alone thrive,
Yeah.
What happened? Is this just like how technology changes things? Or is there something else going on?
That's the big question. Gorbatenko, he points to the algorithms, the ones that make these platforms tick.
Okay.
They're built to maximize profit, right? So they push content that, gets people engaged and drives sales.
So even if an artist creates something incredible, it might just get buried because the algorithm's like, nah, this isn't going to make us money.
Exactly. It's not about artistic merit for the algorithm. It's clicks, shares, and ultimately sales.
So artists end up creating what the algorithm wants, even if it goes against their vision.
Yeah, it can feel like a popularity contest. The rules are constantly changing, and you never know what the judges want.
But Gorbatenko goes even further, right? He says these algorithms are part of like a system that exploits artists.
He does, yeah. And this is where it gets, kind of scary. He talks about the contracts, the ones artists are often pressured to sign.
Okay, so break that down a little bit for us. What are we talking about? I mean, you know your way around contracts. What should artists look out for?
Well, one thing is this demand for perpetual rights to the work.
Whoa, perpetual rights.
Yeah.
So they can use an artist's work forever.
Forever. Distribute it, make money from it, the whole 9 yards.
Even if the artist wants it back later.
Even then.
That's terrifying. And I'm guessing these contracts are full of legal jargon.
Oh, absolutely.
Most artists wouldn't understand it all.
Yeah, it's like David versus Goliath, right? You've got these platforms with entire legal teams, and then you have artists trying to navigate it all alone.
Gorbatenko also talks about how hard it is for artists to get paid, even when they do make money from these platforms. He calls it, it's full of these bureaucratic obstacles, and potential payment delays. He mentions confusing royalty calculations and high thresholds for payments.
Right, that's another big part of the algorithmic squeeze, as he calls it.
It's not just limiting how many people see your work, it's
Right.
making it a nightmare to actually get paid.
It really is.
So let me get this straight. The algorithm might bury your work if it doesn't think it'll sell. And even if it does sell, getting your money is like pulling teeth. You got it.
No wonder so many artists are having a tough time.
And the effects go beyond the artists themselves,
Really?
Gorbatenko talks about the impact on related industries. Think about music stores or art supply shops. If artists can't afford instruments, paint, those places suffer too.
That's a really good point. It's not just about art. It's livelihoods, entire communities. Does Gorbatenko think this is just an economic issue? Or are there bigger implications for artistic expression as a whole?
Well, that's where his argument takes a turn. He says this control, by corporations driven by these profit-hungry algorithms, it goes beyond money. It actually starts to shape what art we even see, what's considered valuable, what gets created in the first place.
So instead of a diverse and vibrant art scene, we end up with this stream of stuff designed just to please the algorithm. That would be incredibly stifling for artists and ultimately lead to less creativity. Exactly. If artists are always second-guessing themselves, trying to fit into these narrow boxes, we lose the unique voices, the bold experiments, the stuff that pushes boundaries.
Okay, so we've got a problem. The internet, once this beacon of artistic freedom, has become, at least according to Gorbatenko, this system that limits exposure, exploits creators, and homogenizes art. It's pretty bleak. Is there any hope? Does he offer solutions? Or are we doomed to this artistic dystopia?
Well, that's what we'll get into next. Gorbatenko doesn't just leave us in despair. He believes we can fight back, reclaim that artistic control and build a more equitable and vibrant creative world.
All right, well, now I'm even more curious. Let's dive into those solutions.
Yeah.
Right after this. So before the break, things were getting kind of heavy, huh?
Yeah.
Gorbatenko's take on the digital age for artists, it wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows. But he does offer hope.
Right.
He says we don't have to stay on this path.
He really does. He lays out a way forward, a way to reclaim artistic control, and build a more balanced creative landscape. He suggests we need artists, consumers, and policymakers all working together.
Okay, so let's break that down. Starting with artists, what can they do? How do they push back against these practices?
Well, Gorbatenko says artists really need to understand their rights and those contracts, They should get legal advice if they can and fight for fairer terms, especially when it comes to ownership and, how the money gets split.
So artists need to be tough negotiators, see those contracts as a chance to get what they deserve, and protect their work.
Yeah, it's about shifting the power dynamic a bit.
Even with these giant corporations calling the shots.
Yeah.
What about those payment hurdles we were talking about? All those confusing royalty calculations and high payout thresholds?
Yeah, he's got ideas there too. He pushes for transparency in payment systems. Imagine if artists could see exactly how their work's being used and how much money it's making.
Like checking your bank account online, seeing each transaction as it happens.
Exactly. No more mystery. Artists getting paid fairly and on time.
That'd be a game changer.
Yeah.
But realistically, how do we get these platforms to change their ways? They're so focused on profit, on feeding those algorithms.
Well, Gorbatenko believes consumers have more power than they realize. Every click, every purchase, every time we share something, it's a vote.
Oh, I like that.
When we support artists directly, buying their work, going to their shows, subscribing to their platforms, that sends a message to the whole industry.
It's like saying, we value creativity, we'll pay for it, and we want a system that supports artists.
Exactly.
Just being a mindful consumer, I guess you could say. Making choices that reflect the kind of creative world we want to see.
It is, and don't underestimate speaking up either. Letting those platforms know you care about how artists are treated.
Yeah, that makes sense. You mentioned policymakers earlier. What can governments do to address this?
Gorbatenko says governments can level the playing field a bit. They can pass laws to protect artists' rights, promote fair pay, and make sure the digital marketplace is transparent.
Okay, so like what kind of laws are we talking about?
He mentions models in other countries, places where artists have stronger protections. For example, artist resale rights laws. The artist gets a cut every time their work is resold.
Whoa, so even after they sell it, they keep making money. That seems way fairer than the current system.
It is. It acknowledges that the work keeps gaining value. And there are other possibilities, Stronger copyright laws, rules about transparency for algorithms and payments, maybe even public funds to support artists and art organizations.
So we need artists pushing for better deals, consumers making smart choices, and governments creating a system that works.
That's the idea.
Do you think policymakers are getting it? Have they started to understand how important this is?
I think awareness is definitely growing. More artists are speaking out, more consumers are demanding change, and policymakers are realizing that, hey, the creative industries are vital to the economy and to our culture.
That's good to hear. Because like Gorbatenko says, if we lose art, we lose something essential to being human. It's how we express ourselves, connect with each other, understand the world around us.
It really is. It's how we challenge the way things are, how we imagine new possibilities, how we inspire change. Art moves us, provokes us, transforms us.
It's a powerful reminder that this isn't just about money or algorithms. It's about the world we want to live in, right? A world where creativity thrives and artists are valued.
I couldn't agree more. It's about recognizing that the future of art is our collective responsibility. If we want creativity to flourish, to hear those diverse voices, we all need to step up.
You've definitely given us a lot to think about, and I hope our listeners are feeling ready to take action, even in small ways.
Me too. Because in the end, the future of art is in our hands.
I gotta say, this is kind of overwhelming, We're talking about these massive platforms, algorithms.
Yeah.
It's all a bit much.
Yeah, I get it. It can feel like, what can I even do about this? But like Gorbatenko reminds us, it all starts with awareness, right? You're already ahead of the game just by being here, Understanding the challenges, knowing their solutions, that's huge.
So what can our listener do? Someone who cares about this, where do they even start?
Well, there's a ton of ways to make a difference, honestly. Even small things can add up. Remember those conscious consumer choices.
Yeah.
If we all start being more deliberate about, the platforms we use, the artists we support, the art we actually buy, that can really shift things.
It's like we're all kind of rewriting the algorithm, not with code, but with our actions. with our money? What about the policy changes? Can one person really impact that?
Totally. Contact your representative, let them know you care, support organizations fighting for artists' rights, talk to your friends, your family, get people thinking about this stuff.
So we use our voices, our votes, our wallets to build a world that actually values creativity. We're not just sitting back and watching, we're actively shaping things.
That's it.
This has been a real eye-opener for me, honestly. I feel like I get it now, the forces at work, what we can do to make things better.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope our listeners feel that way too, like they can make a difference. Because Gorbatenko makes a really strong point. The future of art, it's not set in stone. It's something we're all creating right now with every choice we make.
So let me leave you with this thought. What kind of world do you want to live in? One where art is trapped by algorithms and profits, or one where it's free to flourish, where we hear all those different voices, where artists are truly valued? It's our choice.
And it's a big one.
If you want to dive even deeper into all this, definitely check out Dmitrii Gorbatenko's blog. He's got a ton of great info there, really thought-provoking stuff. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Remember, the future of art is in our hands. Let's make it something amazing.